But today's conversation is, let's start again with Jennifer Horowitz with Ecom Buffet on Twitter, and Melissa Fach, a drawer full of information, SEO aware on Twitter, and of course Doc Sheldon. So today the conversation is all about content domination. And before we start, I wanted to give the ladies just a minute to introduce yourselves and tell our readers, listeners who you are and how you're involved with us and what the hell you're doing here.
Okay, so Jennifer, you going first?
No, you go first. Take it.
Oh, okay. I'm an associate at Moz, and I mostly work on UMoz and user-generated content. I'm also the blog editor at Authority Labs. I own my own company and work with clients as well. And I'm here because Gabrielle invited me. So here I am.
Jennifer?
And I am here also because I was invited and tried to make a couple other hangouts and missed them, so actually was able to coordinate it and get here today. I've been in the industry for about 14 years now, owner at Ecom Buffet, contributor to lots of industry blogs, including Level 343, one of the top blogs, and honored to guest blog there on a regular basis.
Plug in, plug in. So, and then of course, Doc, who also blogs with Level 343. And by the way, congratulations to everyone. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we're all in the top 100 SEO copywriters globally out of 3,200,000, I think was the last count. So we've got some pretty heavy hitters. So today the conversation and the topic is content domination. What it is, how you use it, and how the business to consumer or the business to business can use content domination in their marketing strategy. Don, do you want to start us off, or should we go to the ladies?
Oh, let's let the ladies kick this off, because this is I have my chance to shoot my mouth off every day.
Absolutely.
I want to hear what these two professionals have got to share with us.
Jennifer, you want to go ahead and head us off?
Sure. So for me, content domination, and I love that that little phrase. To me, it all starts with the content, which is, I think, the obvious, but I think, in my opinion, it's what most people overlook. Everybody's talking about how they're going to get the content out there. Everybody's worried about various tools, and that's all important. But that's step two, and the step that I see, just speaking from experience with my clients, the step that I see missed most often is the strategy behind the content, figuring out what needs to be shared, figuring out how to share content in a way that's compelling and interesting. Also, one of the biggest tips, again, seems obvious, but my clients have responded well when I've shared this, is anybody can regurgitate news, and so being a source of news is important. People need a place to get info, but adding your own spin, adding your take on it, giving people a takeaway that they can walk away from, that's what makes it unique. That's what puts your personality and what you have to offer into the content. And so my first tip is just focus there. Focus on the strategy, focus on what you have that will make your content different, and create something killer, and then you can move on to step two, figuring out all of the many different ways to get it out there.
Melissa, how about you? I know that you're involved in a lot of various aspects of creating content, whether it's for your own personal blog, whether it's creating a campaign, all the way from editorial to pushing it out there socially. So what are some tips that you would share with us in regards to creating something compelling that's content domination?
I think you have to start with goals and objectives with anything that you do. We're all in this to make money, and to meet certain goals, whether it's branding or increasing social interaction. I mean, everybody has different goals, everybody has different objectives, but you have to start there. You need to really research and look at your KPIs. Everything, like Jennifer was saying, it's all strategy. You can't just throw content up and hope it's going to stick and make you money and get you traffic and get you ranked. It's not. So I think the biggest thing I deal with clients is that they don't understand that content is deep, well thought out strategy and research. Most businesses do not cover, in my opinion, what it is that they offer, what it is that they do, what benefit they can provide to their consumer. So it's to dominate, you have to cover your bases. Look at your goals, look at your competitors, see what they're not doing, see what they are doing wrong. Look at who's ranking, see where you want to rank. I mean, there's so much strategy in it. I am also a big fan of creating content that educates. Okay, everybody wants to find something online, so educate people. I trust a business that educates me. Okay, so if I have a question, like we talked about earlier, about I'm getting an iMac, well, I am reading everything about it before I invest the money. So all these people that are really educating me, they're creating trust in the product. For clients that want to hire you for services, you need to give them something to trust you. Why are you better? Why are you different? And I think the best way you can do that is with education, things to avoid, things to look for, that type of thing. But if you want to dominate, the other thing businesses have to consider is that it's going to be a long-term job and a lot of work. And I honestly don't work with clients that are not up to that task any longer. If they're not up to working with me, then I can't work with them, because I can't do it for them. They have to work with me and provide me with data, information, goals. They need to modify those goals every 3 to 6 months. So it's a lot of work.
Right.
Not
So what I'm hearing, at least from both of you ladies, is and I'll allow Doc to jump in, but in order to develop content strategy and tactics, it depends on a goal, and it depends on whether the company maybe already has a brand but needs to increase authority. So how do they go about that? Or they, have the traffic, but it's not converting. How do they go about that? So as long as there's, a problem, there's a solution, but that in between is the strategy and how you get there, right?
Right. And let me just say this real quick. When I first got in this industry, I blogged every day, and I had lots of traffic, and I thought, I'm great, but you know what? None of that converted to a client. Right. So I was blogging for the wrong industry. I was trying to talk to my industry. Well, they weren't making me money, so I started blogging for clients, and that's what made me money. So yeah, you definitely want to plan and write about what is going to make you money.
I think that's true. And another great tip, I think, is always keeping in mind that you do want to, as Melissa said, establish your credibility and your authority status. You always want to educate. One thing that's always in the top of my mind is adding value to the reader. And so I will, every time I produce a piece of content, edit a piece of content for a client, I will at the end say, what value did I offer the reader? The other key point that I try to focus on is understanding the psychology behind marketing. And I'm not saying that people have to have a psychology degree in order to do marketing, in order to do content creation, but having an understanding of what makes people tick, what people will respond to is really important. One of the big fundamentals is that people buy on emotion, They justify later with logic, so logic enters into the picture, but they buy on emotion. So if your goal is to move someone into making a purchase, you want to focus on benefits, because benefits are emotional. They're what the person gets. And there is an emotional benefit out of every transaction. Even buying a lawnmower satisfies fundamentally an emotional need. So we have to be careful not to get caught up too much on features, which are logical, and break it down more to the emotional benefit that the person's going to receive in order for them to really feel, understand what they're going to get and feel connected to what they're reading and feel ready to make that next step.
I think you've been reading Christina Halverson, Jennifer.
Well, and to add on to what Jennifer was saying, in psychology you have learning styles, and I write about this a lot. How you plan out and format your content is really important. For visual learners, and I always use my mother as an example, if you put a pretty picture and a nice headline up, she'll buy. I'm an analytical thinker, so you better break it all down for me and give me all the facts and statistics and features, or I'm not going to buy. So when you're planning your content, you want to always know who your audiences are and write content to meet the needs of each of your audiences and each piece of content. And that is not an easy task. When you have one page and 800 words and you have to meet the needs of each of your audiences, it's not easy, but it converts much better. So always plan. Plan for different learning styles and for different audiences.
One piece at a time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doc?
I think Melissa just made an excellent point there too, that you've got to know who your audience is, and what I find so often is that my clients, when I ask them first, obviously none of them are typically going to have a detailed demographic study, but who is your client? Who is the customer that you're going after? Most of them, I find, they don't know who their customer is. They know who they want their customer to be, which is often way off in left field. And they're never determining who their customer is by analysis, by looking at their present customer base. They're looking inside themselves and deciding, okay, this is who I think my customer should be, therefore that's who we're going to write to. And it just doesn't work. Right. And once you can get them to focus on really identifying who their customer base is, then they start seeing some immediate engagement, some immediate conversions.
Which is a great segue into methodology. What are some key methods, if you will, that you can utilize for content domination, if you will? Things like keyword research, competitor research, monitoring, the different funnels that you set up. I mean, can you ladies give us a little, a couple of methods that you would use, whether it's measuring, whether it's, publishing, 2-3 tips on how to get a method going?
Sure, Melissa, you want to take that one first?
Okay. Obviously, competitive research is my it's my number one. I dig into that really deeply. Keyword research is also really important. I am also very, I like to look at reviews, okay, for anything, services and products, mostly because I like to look at the terminology that people use when they're discussing services and products, so that when we are planning content, we are positive, or we're not positive, but we have a better indication of the type of terms people are using, the type of audiences that we're targeting. All of that is a part of competitive research. But I don't know. I mean, there's so much to it. Yeah, but
yeah, it's weird.
Measuring is important. The other thing I like to look at is looking at the see what kind of action we're getting in traffic versus what is actually getting traffic, so we can see if we're wasting our time. all analytics is fun for me to look through, and social analysis is very important for content creation as well. So I'll go with those three for now and let Jennifer take it.
Okay, and so I will just absolutely second everything that Melissa said. I agree that that's where it really all starts, and she hit on the key foundations for sure. A couple things that I like to do that is just sort of maybe digging in a little deeper in some of those areas in terms of competitor analysis. One of the things I like to do is check out the Facebook comments on a competitor's page, check out the blog comments on a competitor's page, and see what the customers are asking and commenting there. Get a feel for how my competitors are letting clients down, and where can I jump in and fill that void, solve a problem, give more information, that kind of thing. So keeping tabs on what your competitors are doing is definitely vital, but keeping track of the response that they're getting from their customers is an important tip. I think another tip that I would say is once you've done all this foundational research, another great tip is then to put the same strategy, the same level of research and preparation into finding out where your ideal customer is consuming information. What blogs are they visiting? What newsletters? What are they reading? And what can you do to put your content in front of them? You can obviously, through your own social media and through getting found in the search engines, pop up in front of them, but you also want to try to get into the places that they're already interacting. And then I guess the last tip is figuring out how to repurpose content, because there are so many different places, and you do want to make sure that you're getting out there, and there are different guidelines and different rules for different places. So a killer piece of content can easily be converted into a PDF that can be given away as a free download, convert it into a PowerPoint presentation and get it up on SlideShare, do little snippets, post on blogs, submit to blog roundups if there are blog roundups, things like that, so that you're making sure that you take this one piece of killer content and getting all the mileage that you possibly can out of it. And that, I think, should also be part of your strategy and your planning. And that's something that you don't just do once. You might come up with a great list of places to get yourself out there, but you want to see what keeps popping up and what is new and getting attention. So that's an ongoing task.
Right, which is one of the things that we've been doing, the whole vlogging. It's one of our newest, if you will, approach to the outreach of getting a new audience, people that really don't want to read, maybe just want to listen, or want to check it out, because we try to slice these videos into no more than 15 minutes each, which is they're still long, but we're getting some good traction because the conversation is good, and I think that's where it's a different approach. It's video. It's definitely speaking to a niche audience, but the message is coming across, which is, I guess, I hand it over to you, Doc. What are some of the top three that you would think, whenever you're working on a content strategy for a client, that is a must in the campaign?
My first concern is always to nail down who the readers are, who is the customer, and try to build a demographic image of who we're going after. While I'm doing that, I'm trying to get the customer to focus as when I told Jennifer that she'd obviously read Christina Halverson. When we start talking about benefits versus features and the emotional aspect versus the logical aspect, that is the most prevalent buying method for people. And I read that first in Christina's book a few years ago, and truer words couldn't be spoken. So I try to identify what the benefits are, and often most companies I find they're focusing on their features.